Deviates, we are back for probably the best slugfest you're going to see all day. We've saved the best to last. I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby. I'm here with just the A-team. It's Kevin Jacobsen, Sam Eckmann, and Tony Ruiz. And we're here to talk about, you guessed it, the Emmys that were just announced today. There's so much to unpack. We could be here for 10 hours, but guess what? We're not going to do that. What we're going to do instead is we're going to have a bit of a rant session about the things that we really loved and the things that we didn't really love. And hopefully that will then give you a good understanding for what shows maybe did very well and overperformed and what shows didn't perform at all. And hopefully some of your favourite shows will be some of the things that we mentioned today. So first up, I want to go straight to Connecticut, because I think Kevin's got a lot to say. Kevin, what did you like or love about this morning's nominations?
Okay, so a lot to unpack, as we all know. We could be here all day, but I guess we could just, for me, start at the top, which Watchmen was one of my absolute favorite shows of this past season, and I was just so thrilled to see how much the Emmys fell head over heels for this show that is timely and relevant and exciting and fun and everything you could want an adaptation to be. 26 nominations. I'm so thrilled for Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Louis Gossett Jr. and Jovan Adepo. All of them weren't really sure things by any means, but they got in. Obviously, Regina King and Jeremy Irons and Gene Smart got their expected nominations. Sad to not see Tim Blake Nelson. I'm not sure what happened there. But on the whole, it had about the best day that it possibly could, especially for a fan like me of the show. And same goes for Succession. That's another show that really just exceeded all expectations, with going from 0 nominations for acting last year to 9, including 3 for supporting actor. Just an incredible showing for both shows that clearly kind of cements them both as the front runner. And sometimes I don't always love the front runner when it comes to the Emmys, and in this case, I'm perfectly happy with both of them. So on that front, I'm glad with those two shows that dominated.
That's pretty cool, hey, that the two top kind of the front runners are shows that you really love. There's the same with me and probably the other guys. Did you have one nomination in particular that you really loved?
But you mean between the two shows or just in general?
In general, but I'll let you keep going because I'm sure you have other things that you loved as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, just in general, I will say that it's been building for a while, and I'm finally glad we got Darcy Carter nominated for The Good Place. That is something that I have just been trying to make happen since like season 2, and just kept predicting her, and she finally got in. Same with William Jackson Harper too. That's a really incredible kind of inspired nomination there. So those little inclusions there when we weren't expecting them maybe are nice to see. And just in general, I think it's been really cool unpacking all these nominations, looking at all these categories and seeing how much diversity there is overall. You know, it's not even just one Black actor in a category. Sometimes it's 2 or up to 5 in the case of supporting actor in a comedy series. So that on the whole, in general, is one of the highlights of this Emmy nomination day.
Wow, yeah. I was just going to say, like, I noticed there was a lot of African Americans nominated this morning, more than usual, I find. Like, I'm not sure if that's maybe just my imagination because there's so many great Black performers this season, but yeah, that's absolutely something to celebrate. Sam, did you feel the same way? Did you have any of this things that Kevin loved that you loved as well, or did you have a different view? I think I know one of them in particular that you're going to be very happy about, but go ahead.
I have a lot that I'm really happy about. These nominations are just wild, y'all. There was just so many surprises, and it's nice to see that at the Emmys. It's nice to be surprised and not have the race kind of pan out in a predestined way. Anyone who knows me, you know, the theme that I kind of was going with this morning was like, God, I wish I listened to myself. Because Rob, in the last Slugfest we did, I ended with like, you know, I wonder if The Mandalorian's going to get into Best Drama Series because of COVID-19 and because that was one of the biggest stories as we were, you know, being told to stay at home. And I'm like, I think that could happen. I had taken it out of my predictions, but I'm very happy that it did manage to get in. I think it's awesome that Giancarlo Esposito got in for guest acting and Taika Waititi is in for voice acting, and it played a lot. I wish it had gotten him for directing, but it got a slew of nominations that I think are really well deserved. And on the Disney front, anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge fan of Disney parks. And Angela Bassett, one of her double nominations this year is for the Imagineering story for Outstanding Narrator, also from Disney Plus. So that was a cool thing to see that recognized there. And again, like Kevin said, I think sort of the diversity of the nominees, the sort of daringness of different shows that got in. Rob, I'm sure you will talk about Euphoria, and we're happy to see Zendaya as I was. A lot of these shows and things feel like they couldn't have got in 5 years ago. The Academy feels like it's changed quite a bit, and is willing to reach out to things that are not the predestined, preordained picks, and that makes things really exciting. I remember when people started predicting Yvonne Orji from Insecure, and I thought, I don't know, that seems like a fan pick that will never happen with the TV Academy, but she made it. I was like, oh my gosh, she did it. So there were a lot of moments like that where it felt like a lot of things that TV fans would have picked got in. Mandalorian was probably my favorite one, but that was, and Fiona Shaw. I mentioned Fiona Shaw a lot in our last Slugfest. And, I thought if season 1 was really Sandra Oh's season of Killing Eve, season 2 is Jodie Comer's. Fiona Shaw has the most fascinating arc of season 3, and it's really, she was not predicted by many people, but it's a really, really well-deserved nomination.
That's so exciting. I agree. Like when I saw Mandalorian with 15 nominations, I was floored and so thrilled. That's something that I watch with my kids, and we've seen it like 3 times. It's the best show. So I'm very happy about that. And I thought about you, Sam. I thought, I hope Sam's paying attention. I hope he's excited as I am. And I know that Westworld did quite well, which is one of your favorite shows. Didn't get the drama series nomination, but that's very exciting. Tony, what about you? What did you love about this morning's nominations?
I think what surprised me the most was The Crown. A show that aired, it feels like, especially in this age of COVID, that feels like it aired so long ago. And you had a feeling that, some of the actors would get nominated and would probably get into drama series, and it would probably get certain of this and that. I don't know that I expected it to get 13. 13 seems to be a lucky number for The Crown.
Yeah.
In each of the 3 seasons that it's existed, it's gotten 13 nominations. And the only thing that seems to have changed is its increase in wins. I know the last time it was eligible, it snuck up and got a couple of wins that we all didn't see coming. But I was really happy to see that it got, multiple writing nominations, and that, I was a little disappointed about some of the people that were left off, but I thought for the most part, it did a lot better than I thought it would. And I think the thing that made me just so happy, I love when statistics, I love these double nominations for people, these double acting or some sort of performing nomination. Angela Bassett, Jason Bateman, Maya Rudolph, people that need to get in more than just once. You can, anytime Maya Rudolph is on TV, I want her to be nominated for something. So I was really happy with that. Yeah, exactly. I was really, really overjoyed that Billy Porter got in, because anybody who has seen the second season of Pose knows that the material he had for that second season was even better than the stuff that he won for, but we thought maybe he might not get in because it aired so long ago, and wondered if the buzz had died down too much for that show. So that was really, really exciting. And then just starting to look at some of these other, I think the other one nomination that made me really, really happy was Dylan McDermott for Hollywood. Okay. He was the first person from the Hollywood crew that I interviewed, and I said from the beginning, I was like, this is unlike anything he's ever done, and so the fact that he got remembered, we'll talk more about who maybe didn't, but I love that Dylan McDermott got in, because I think he really deserves it.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you'd say that actually, and I noticed that nomination. Hollywood did better than I expected, and I saw that and thought about you. For myself, as Sam mentioned, I was very happy with Euphoria. I think Euphoria is one of the greatest things that I've seen in a very long time. Zendaya gets nominated. Leslie Jones almost had a heart attack, which was funny when that was being.
Doesn't Leslie Jones always almost have a heart attack?
Yeah, I think that's her thing.
My mom walked in at one point and was like, "Why? Who's screaming? What's happening?
Yeah.
Who's dying?"
I was watching it in bed, and Paula was like, "Oh, that's really annoying. What is that noise?" I'm like, "Don't worry, it's just the Emmys." Yeah, so Euphoria, and it did very well with music and costumes and the look and feel of the show and the sound of the show is where it really excels. I was happy with Rami. Talk about diversity, to have someone like Rami nominated in directing and also in acting. Unfortunately, Abbas missed out, but Rami getting nominated is very exciting. The Queer Eye hosts finally nominated in reality host. That hasn't happened yet for them, and that's a really, really good thing. Yeah, This Is Us still got 5 nominations. It's very hard to get nominated these days, but This Is Us is still kind of bugging away. Toni Collette, great nomination for her. I'm very happy. I hope she wins. And finally, I should have seen What We Do in the Shadows coming, because the Emmys loved Flight of the Conchords, and I should have just seen this coming. It didn't do well in its first season, so I thought, oh well, they've missed the boat on that one, but it got 8 nominations, so that's really, really impressive. Ozark as well, Succession, The Crown, Devs, one of my favorite shows, got 4 nominations below the line, and Watchmen, of course. That was unbelievable to see Damon Lindelof back at the Emmys. I mean, this is going to make up for the leftover snubs, hopefully. I'm very, very, very happy for him. So that's really where I'm sitting, and I think we're all kind of on the same boat there. But what's more interesting? Let's talk about the things that missed out, because there's a lot. I've got like at least 20 things that I won't go through all of them, but I think I'll go to you guys first, and I'll switch it up a bit. I want to go to you first, Sam. Talk us through the things that you found to be the most disappointing when you noticed that they missed out, or anything else that you didn't like.
I mean, I do think that Westworld deserved a drama series nomination. They did get a lot. I think they have 11 nominations total, including Tandy Newton and Jeffrey Wright, who I'm very happy for. But I just thought it took a lot of guts to take the giant swing that show did in season 3, and I personally thought they did it extremely well. So I wish they had made the cut there, as well as Pose. That was another show that we just talked about having aired a long time ago, and it would have been nice if they had made room for that. And in comedy, I couldn't believe that Jane Lynch missed out for both guest actress and for host for Hollywood Game Night, because she just seems like such a beloved figure. She was absolutely hysterical in a much more beefed up role in season 3 of Mrs. Maisel. So I kind of couldn't believe that she missed. But Maisel did well overall, except for writing, strangely, which makes me feel like Schitt's Creek could have an advantage over them. The fact that Schitt's Creek got into both directing and writing, and that show is certainly a very worthy winner that I'm a big fan of. But I was surprised not to see, especially because people talk about Amy Sherman Palladino and Dan Palladino's writing so often as the driver of that show. I was shocked to see that neither of them made the cut there. I could go on and on. Someone can take over. I have a whole list of things I kept writing. Oh my God, as things weren't popping up, or like, you had talked about Ann Dowd or Yvonne Strahovski getting in, and I thought maybe I'll do that, but I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because I would have chosen one of them, but Samira Wiley got in for The Handmaid's Tale instead, which no one saw coming. But congrats, Samira. No one was predicting that. Everyone, if they were going for Handmaids, most people were going for Ann Dowd. But that it was made for a crazy, wild morning today.
Certainly was. Look, we'll probably get an opportunity to come back to you, Sam, if you think of anything else. But in the meantime, what about you, Tony? What were you thinking about things that just you cannot live with? Oh, you're on mute, Tony. It's like the most commonly used phrase during COVID is "you're on mute."
I can't live in a world where Pamela Adlon and Better Things don't get multiple nominations every year. Everybody, I mean, granted, I'm a broken record. Everybody knows I love that show. I love her on that show. I thought the season was the best season of that show. And it's always good, but I felt like this season was just a complete masterpiece. And
she always gets nominated, right? She always gets nominated. So
she always gets nominated for comedy actress. I thought she might have had a chance for the show to get in, especially after TCA, where not only she got in, but the show got nominated. So that always irritates me. The lack of love for One Day at a Time always irritates me. In terms of something that I really wanted, that I thought was going to happen, and maybe I was too hopeful, I really wanted Noah Reid to get a nomination for Schitt's Creek, because he really is kind of like, he has, I think, one of the hardest jobs on that show, because his character kind of is kind of the straight man, no pun intended, of that show, and yet he's still hilariously funny. So I was kind of disappointed to see him not get in. I also thought it was a real error to not have Tobias Menzies, who was astonishing in The Crown.
That's terrible.
So that was those were two of my those were some of my really big kind of like, are you kidding me type moments.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin?
Well, at the top of my list, and I still can't really get over this, is the fact that neither Caitlin Dever nor Merritt Wever were nominated for lead actress in a limited series. I truly am still just looking at the list in disbelief that they are not here, because I assumed especially Merritt Wever would be a lock, because they love her. They've given her 2 Emmys. I assumed that show, Unbelievable, would be in the top 3 with Watchmen and Mrs. America of shows that they were really going to watch and love.
Yeah.
And then to have neither of them show up was just such a curveball. I mean, I'm very happy. I always love seeing Octavia Spencer in general, so happy to see her show up. Very happy for Shira Haas. That's a very incredibly inspired nomination there. And I really liked Kerry Washington in Little Fires Everywhere. But for Dever or Weaver to not show up here just feels wrong, especially because it's like this mixed message, because Toni Collette is nominated and the show is nominated in limited series, but like these 2 very integral parts of the show were just ignored, and I can't really understand it. Also, just in general, Sam mentioned Pose. I think it's disappointing that they dropped that after 1 season. I was afraid that might happen. I felt like I was maybe hope-dicting that at a certain point, because
but it was
I just love the show.
Season 2 was so much better.
It was.
Than 1. It
was a huge improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, Billy Porter, so happy that he was nominated again, when a lot of people were thinking, oh, he might be like that one and done type of winner who drops out the next season, but he made it. But I do think it is still glaring to not see any of the incredible trans talent on that show continue to be snubbed as they have been, especially MJ Rodriguez, Angelica Ross, Dominique Jackson. I mean,
India Moore, like, come on.
Yeah. And so it's a glaring error in a year where we are praising the Emmys for diversity. I think there's still a long way to go in that regard.
Yeah.
So those are kind of at the top of my list, but I have like a long scroll, so
I'll
pass it back to you.
I'll put it on gallery view. So I'm just going to punch out some names, and if you guys want to pipe up, you can. And I know Sam's going to go shortly, but for me, I know this much is true. Only gets 1 nomination for Mark Ruffalo. That's disgusting. I got to say this was more of a hope thing. I knew it wouldn't happen, but honestly, and don't laugh at me, but I think Outlander had its best season. It was very strong. To see it get 0 nominations is a travesty. The actors on that show are great, but even below the line, it got nothing. Come on, his star's just not on your cable subscription. What the hell is going on there? So that's what I'll say about Outlander. The Outsider really underperformed, apart from Jason Bateman. Patriot Act got nothing. That upset me. The Good Fight, Avenue 5, The Loudest Voice, 000 was one of the best limited series I saw all season got 0. They all did. Plot Against America only got 1. Dickinson, Yellowstone, The Circus, The Boys only got 1. High Fidelity got skunked. Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, Love Life. All that stuff, really good niche stuff on TV, and it all got ignored. Damon Harriman in guest actor.
Great.
What?
Great. Only gets writing.
The Great only got 2.
Directing,
Nothing below the line.
And they don't put in Elle Fanning or Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. What about Tom Pelphrey? Everybody was already giving.
Oh my God, I can't even handle that.
What the hell are you doing? Wake up! That's wrong. That's not.
Or Janet McTeer, for that matter.
Yeah,
I know it doesn't make any sense that Ozark goes from 9 nominations to 18 nominations in 1 year.
2 for directing, 3 for writing.
Right,
and literally
really performed.
And really, and it's still. I think we can still say, Ozark did immensely well. I think it's one of the
well deserved, yeah.
And incredibly deserved. And this is coming from someone who was never a fan of that show until season 3. But Pelphrey was the whole season.
I don't get it.
He was the MVP of the whole season, and Janet McTeer as well.
Yeah. Look, I know this is slightly, maybe some people don't agree, but Elizabeth Moss, really? Not to be nominated in lead actress? I mean,
That's shocking.
She did a really, really good job. Whatever you think about Handmaid's Tale, some people can't watch it because they find it too confronting. I thought it was a great season. I thought she was incredible. Okay, how about this? Of the whole Better Call Saul cast, only Giancarlo Esposito gets a nomination. Hello,
That was bizarre.
What
That was so bizarre.
Do? What does she have to do to get nominated, people? Come on, man. Wake up.
I thought this could have been Bob Odenkirk's year.
Right.
Yeah. I think there were instances like that where we're talking about how they went for these outside or bubble candidates.
Yeah.
And I think he was one of the victims of, everyone's voting for Bob Odenkirk. I'm throwing my weight behind other people. I'm going to choose to throw my weight behind someone who's not going to get in. And, because there's such a broad scope of TV out there. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And that's probably what has happened here, because he's generally speaking always in the nominations and missed out. Other people that I was really hoping for, maybe hoping more than expecting, were people like Hunter Schafer from Euphoria, Alison Wright from Snowpiercer, Otis Benley from The Handmaid's Tale. I thought he would finally get that nomination that he should have gotten in season 1. Ricky Gervais, I really thought it was going to happen. I really did. And I'm very disappointed for him, because whatever you think about Ricky's comedy, he really has some acting chops in that show. He made me cry. It's pretty impressive. The Crown cast didn't do as well as we expected, even though it did quite well overall. And Curb Your Enthusiasm underperformed. I thought it was one of its strongest seasons ever. I'm a bit surprised. I was hoping to see a bit more for Curb, but here we are.
I actually, for a while, I actually thought that the person who was most likely to maybe take down Eugene Levy was Larry David.
Yeah. I have not enjoyed a Curb Your Enthusiasm season like that one in a long time. I thought it was really strong. And I don't really understand how you don't have shows like The Great and Catherine the Great, the HBO miniseries, in those below-the-line categories. They were gobsmacking. But yeah, so I've got a lot. The Sinner is another one on USA. There's a lot of shows that I loved that I thought were very well deserving, and maybe that's my bias, but I was hoping to see a few bones thrown at them, and unfortunately that wasn't going to happen. So yeah, that's where I'm sitting.
I'll toss in, everybody knows my love of Hollywood. I was, and a lot of us, I remember a lot of our slugfests were like, who's going to get nominated from Hollywood? Who's going to get nominated from Mrs. America? And I think in both cases, people got in that we weren't necessarily expecting, and the people we thought were going to get in didn't. So they put in from Hollywood, they put in Jeremy Pope in lead actor, which I'm thrilled with because I thought he was fantastic on that show. But then in the supporting category, they put Jim Parsons, which we all thought. They put in Dylan McDermott, which was a welcome surprise. They don't put in Joe Mantello. They don't put in Darren Criss. And then in supporting actress, the supporting actress that I thought probably had the least likelihood of getting in was Holland Taylor, and she got in and Patti LuPone didn't.
Yeah, love Holland Taylor. I know you
Love
like
Holland
her.
Taylor.
And she gets nominated quite often in the past if you look at the practice and whatever. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Final thoughts, Sam and Kevin, before we go. I know, Sam, you've got to head off. Sam, what do you think? Any final thoughts?
Oh God. I also, this is a niche one, but I thought, The Dark Crystal, Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal, it did get nominated for Best Children's Program, which I don't really buy it as a children's program because there's plenty of dark stuff about it. But how does it not get any design nominations? It is the biggest visual feast of the year. It's this impressive thing that took them years to create. It's a marvel of handmade design, and I thought it should have showed up more in voice acting as well. And I know I was hoping for her more than most people were, but I still think Tessa Thompson gives one of the performances of the year for me, one of the top 5 performances of the year. She was fascinating on Westworld and really deserved more recognition this year. So maybe season 4, but all in all, I think it's a very great crop of nominees because it really shifts the conversation. I think we're really going in a different direction than what we anticipated before the nominees started. So I'm excited to see where the race takes us.
Agreed. Kevin?
One other snub that I just wanted to mention is Viola Davis for How to Get Away with Murder. She made history when she won in her first season. It would have been nice to see her get one farewell nomination, especially for the incredible series finale that she had, where she had such a brilliant speech that's just classic Emmy bait. So it was disappointing for them to just be like, no. But, they went with Cicely Tyson, as they always do. But I just wish she could have gotten one last one. So, but overall, like I said, I commend the Emmys for looking outside the box, going to more diverse and new talent on the whole. It's a mixed bag overall. There's just, again, not a lot of like internal logic for me to be like, all somehow like, how do you do this with Ozark but not get in Tom Pelphrey? And it's just, and like, how does the morning show get 5 acting nominations but not series? It's like nothing is adding up really.
Well, look, I think we've got now we've gotten all that off our chest. We can focus on the positive. We'll all be back, no doubt, over the season to talk about what we think is going to win. We're not doing that today. It's too early. I'm still digesting. We'll come back for more, everybody. So please stay with Gold Derby. There's really no better place on the internet than Gold Derby for any coverage. And we'll see you all very, very soon.